Hello, I am Nick Sinacori, and I would like to welcome you to our program. Today we are going to be talking about Special Olympics Connecticut and the law enforcement torch run. I'd like to welcome Officer Laurel Harrington from the Simsbury Police Department and Jeff Veneziano from Special Olympics Connecticut. Over the last 4 years, Officer Harrington has worked hard in our fundraising efforts as the town captain for the torch run to support Special Olympics. Jeff has assisted Officer Harrington as the torch run liaison to the department. Today, we are going to discuss both their awards and commitment to Special Olympics Connecticut, along with my own involvement as an athlete and global messenger with the organization. Officer Harrington.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for having me here today.
You're welcome. Why did you get involved with the torch run?
Okay, so just a little history about myself. I started with the police department in 2013. I was hired here. Since then, I've been assigned to our patrol division. When I first got hired here, I was aware of what the law enforcement torch run was. I was aware that it was fundraising which supported Special Olympic athletes like yourself. We currently, though, when I got hired in 2013, we didn't have an active program. So I took it upon myself and I kind of started our program back up again. Jeff has assisted me along the way, kind of showed me the ropes. So why it was important for me to get involved, I have a cousin who's an athlete. Her name is Holly. She swims on the Northwest team for Special Olympics, and she's been swimming for over 20 years. So I grew up watching her compete down at the summer games in swimming, and I just always saw what the organization did for her. So when I got hired here in Simsbury, I was excited to be able to, my career path, that it allowed me to then support athletes like her and like you. So we started really small in our fundraising. We just did one tip a cop down at Chili's restaurant. I sold a couple t-shirts, and from there each year we raise more and more money. So.
And Jeff, tell me about what your job with Special Olympics Connecticut.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say thank you again, Nick, for hosting myself and Laurel. It's just an honor to be here and have the opportunity to talk with you and talk about Special Olympics and the law enforcement torch run, because it's both of those groups are very, very important to both of us, and we just want to spread the awareness about those programs. So I got involved with Special Olympics about 5 years ago. I got hired, coming up on 5 years, and started as a coordinator and moved my way up to a director of special events. So in my role, I work with different law enforcement agencies, from municipalities, state police, Department of Corrections, other agencies like the FBI, to raise money and awareness for Special Olympics and all the athletes across the state. Like Laurel was saying, we started off a little slow. We were both starting to get our feet wet there, but we slowly worked our way up. And she started with her Tip a Cop event and her T-shirt sales, and now we're working on Adopt-A-Miles, where businesses are buying signage to go out on our run, and some other special events like our Penguin Plunges and our Over the Edge. Laurel really has jumped in on those and started to raise some serious funds. So besides working with the law enforcement, I work on our Penguin Plunges. I'm sure some people have heard of the Penguin Plunges up in Winsted and in Farmington at Highland Lake in Winsted, and Winding Trails in Farmington. Fun events, just trying to convince people to jump in the cold water. Right. Not the easiest job, but I have fun doing it, because it's very rewarding to see those people go into those cold water, come out with a smile on their face, because they know they're supporting our athletes. So, and then just some other smaller stuff like golf tournaments and other special events, just to help raise money and, raise awareness for our athletes.
And Officer Harrington, how many years have you been doing the torch run as part of the Simsbury Police Department?
So like I mentioned before, I got hired in 2013. The first year that I ran the run, I believe it was in 2015, and I've run it every year since. From there, I've actually also taken over not only as town captain here in Simsbury at the police department here, but I've also taken over as leg coordinator. Last year was my first year doing that, so that means that I kind of help coordinate our leg, which is called Leg 5, starts in Plymouth about 6:30 in the morning and it ends in Hartford at about 5 o'clock at night. So I ride in the back of the truck. Jeff has assisted with that, and we make sure the torch stays lit and whatnot all through the run. But so overall, I've personally ran. This will be, I think, my 4th year running it.
And don't let her be shy. She just got voted onto our Torch Run statewide council. So
Congratulations.
She's one of 10 people that are appointed
I'm
to that
excited.
council. Yeah, so helping statewide now. So she's gonna, hopefully recruit some more officers statewide, and help kind of train them, show them, you can start at this point and get to this point, and really do a lot for the organization. So I just wanted to make sure to add that in because very important.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I'm excited
And Jeff,
about that new role.
what is the history of the law enforcement torch run?
I think this is important that everyone understands what it is.
So
right?
yeah, so law enforcement torch run started in 1981 by Chief Richard Lemunion in Wichita, Kansas. So a small little town, small little city in Kansas. A couple of his officers came to him just saying, we want to give back. We want to get more involved in our community, and trying to figure out a way to do that. And they thought it was, a good fit to work with Special Olympics. So they came up with a relay, essentially, handing off the torch to different officers, different athletes, and, kind of just being a unified community together and working together to carry the torch from one point of the town to where where they were playing in their games. So it slowly trickled up to get a little bit bigger. And then in 1986, Richard Lemunion brought it to the International Chiefs Police Association, and it has kind of expanded and blown up from there. Currently, we have raised over $700 million globally. So it's not just in the United States, it's all across the world, Australia, Ireland, and all of Africa. So it's really an expanding program. There's over 97,000 law enforcement officers across the country participating in all throughout the year in fundraising and torch runs. So it's a lot bigger than people might think. It's not just coming down Route 44 in Simsbury and Avon. It's all across the world. And ultimately, the goal right now, we just had our conference a few months back, trying to hit $1 billion in the next 2 years, because that'll be the 40th anniversary of the program. So globally, it's really taken off. Chief Richard Lemunion was quoted saying, "What started in 1981 as a flicker of hope for Special Olympics has now become a roaring flame of stability for Special Olympic athletes." And I think that sums up the program so perfectly, because they are the guardians of the flame. They are the ones out there raising the money and bringing awareness for our athletes and really putting them at the forefront.
Right.
And Nick, I don't know if I ever told you, in 2017, I was lucky enough to represent Connecticut. I was one of about 10 law enforcement officers. I went to Nashville to the international conference. So before going to the international conference, I didn't realize what a big, obviously I knew here in Connecticut what the torch run was, that we all carried this torch around Connecticut and we converge in New Haven, and that kicks off the summer games for athletes like you. But going to the international conference in Nashville, I learned the history that Jeff just discussed. And I had no idea how big, there was cops from all over the world there. We did a torch run down in Nashville where I ran alongside officers from all over the world and athletes all over the world.
That must have been so cool.
It was. Nashville is a very cool city, and on top of that, I learned a lot though that I brought back to Connecticut, and that I've been, getting bigger fundraising goals here in Simsbury and helping other officers in the area. Hopefully my new position on the council, that's kind of will give me that opportunity to really help others raise money for you guys.
Awesome. And also, Harrington, would you consider spreading this awesome cause to other Simsbury police officers to have them run in the torch run too? Absolutely.
So every year, that's kind of been my goal, is to get more and more people involved. First, I kind of just started within the department. Now we're definitely getting more involved, even with like our local program here in Simsbury, both in the Farmington Valley and in Simsbury. But I think the first year that I ran in the torch run, it was just me and our records clerk. And we ran with a couple Avon officers because our leg of the torch run, we have there's only unfortunately like a quarter mile in Simsbury, so we technically run with Avon PD, so our leg's about 3 miles. But yeah, the first year I think it was just like me and Leslie from Records, and now every year we have people from Town Hall running with us now. Hopefully this year we're going to have multiple athletes that are local to the area, and I think there's probably about 10 officers every year, a couple officers from Avon. Our chief of police runs, our 2 lieutenants run. So I'm really lucky the support that I get from our officers here in Simsbury, because we wouldn't be able to hit the fundraising goals that I have, definitely without the support from my administration and just from all my coworkers coming out to support all of our awesome events.
Yeah, and Laurel's really got a lot of people involved in her program, and it's just so important to to get everyone involved, because Special Olympics is all about unifying people, athletes with partners that don't have disabilities, and getting them out on the same court and the same playing field, and really becoming a team and becoming one community. And with that kind of said, Nick, can you tell us about some of your involvement with Special Olympics, like some of the sports that you participate? I know you participate all year round, right?
In, swimming, golf, bowling, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I love competing in them, and it's the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so you're looking to be participating in summer games coming up. Summer games it's a lot of fun. Like I helped opening up the summer game, the opening ceremonies last year, and it was awesome to be part of that and to see the atmosphere of the whole place was awesome, and to see the torch with the motorcycles.
Yeah, the motorcycles,
cool
right?
The bike officers,
Yes.
the motorcycles. I was there as well last year, running around the track.
Yep.
Yeah, so you guys must be practicing hard, your team from
Yes, we
Simsbury,
are.
because summer games are coming up June 5th through June 7th at Southern Connecticut State University down in New Haven. We'll be doing a split, actually, but some of the competitions will be at Southern, and some of them will be over at Yale. So which sport are you looking forward to most in competing at summer games?
I can't wait to compete in the swimming event.
Swimming, that is awesome.
Yes.
What you do the freestyle?
I do the 50-meter freestyle, 50-meter backstroke, and the 25-meter freestyle.
Oh wow! So you have a lot of practice.
Yes.
That's
I've been
awesome.
lucky enough to go watch them practice, right?
Yes.
You guys are all working really hard this year.
Yes, we
You
are.
and the track team. They
Yes.
practice here in Simsbury, so.
And Jeff, how many years has the Torch Run been going through the Farmington Valley?
Yeah, so like I said, the Torch Run internationally has been going on for 38 years, but here in Connecticut, we're coming up on year 34. So we're a few years behind, but we've been trying to grow our program, and it's been coming through Farmington Valley down Route 44 all those years. It's changed a little bit. We had our endpoint be in West Hartford, then Hartford. Now we're back to West Hartford, so we'll be ending this route that Laurel will be in charge of on Thursday, June 6th. In West Hartford Center. So it'll be a fun day, for everyone out there to go. We start in Plymouth, and we go all through Litchfield Hills, all the way down Route 44, through Barkhamsted, New Hartford, Canton, Avon, Simsbury, all the way to West Hartford. So in total, not all across the state, over the 3 days, we're going over 500 miles with all of our officers. The Torches is going through several towns across the state. Over thousands of runners from all different agencies across the state. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of sweat, but it's a lot of fun. And just seeing all the officers out there, especially when athletes are running with them, when other people from town jump in and they don't know what's going on, but they just see this flame going by, and they're inspired to see these officers doing this and these athletes running with them. It's inspiring. It's moving, and that's the biggest thing for us, is just to make sure we're raising that awareness and getting Special Olympic athletes out there.
Yeah. And also, Harrington, what is your goal for this year for the 2019 Torch Run?
So, Nick, I have a few goals. So last year, so every year that I've been our town captain, we've raised more and more money for the Torch Run. So this past year, Simsbury Police Department, with the help of all my amazing coworkers, I think we raised just over $15,000, which is just incredible to think of where I started from, just, that doing our one tip a cup at Chili's, selling a few t-shirts. So my goal this year, I would like to hit $20,000 raised for awesome athletes like you.
That'd be awesome.
So we do a lot of events, which is fun too. Each year we're adding new events just to, again, raise awareness for Special Olympics Connecticut, just to spread the message, the inclusion revolution.
Absolutely, that's right.
Just to include in that, everybody, even though some of us may have intellectual disabilities, we're all can be on the same playing field and work together. So we have a lot of events this year. Currently, we have our Tip a Cup, which is our annual event down at Chili's.
Yep.
So we have that this coming Friday. Actually, you'll be there to help me. Thank you in advance.
You're
Jeff
welcome.
will be there as well. From 5 to 9 p.m. we'll be doing that.
Yes.
So Tip a Cup events are where we're serving people.
Right.
We work really hard for our tips. I think some people are surprised how hard we're working. So that's really great. On top of that, we also do a couple Tip a Cup events at Dunkin' Donuts. We do 2. We've now done, I think, one in July, and then I added one in December this past year as well.
Okay.
So it's really awesome. We have a lot of officers that work with us who worked at Dunkin' Donuts before they were cops.
That's the best part, going to those Tip a Cups. Even at Chili's, you could tell who was a waitress or a waiter before, and it just makes it
I
fun
bartended and waitress through college and high school, so it's fun to put back on the apron and take orders. So those are really successful. I think actually Officer Johnson, Officer Galducci. There's been a few officers that always consistently and come out and help with those Tip a Cups.
That's cool.
Another huge avenue for us to fundraise for Special Olympics is an event called Over the Edge, where everyone thinks we're crazy for doing it. I don't think we've gotten you over the edge.
That will not be something I will participate.
I think you helped last year, right, Nick?
No.
No, you didn't come down and help?
No.
I thought
But
I saw you.
I would like to see how you guys do that.
So what we do is we rappel down the side of Mohegan Sun.
That must be scary.
How many floors? 30?
It's 34 stories they're going down the side of the hotel.
So to do that, we each have to raise $1,000.
Wow.
The last couple of years we've done Toss Your Boss. So we actually tossed our chief over the edge, and last year we tossed our lieutenant over the edge with us. So that was fun. A group about between 5 to 6 of us do that every year. So that's another great event to raise money for you guys. And then the last couple of years as well, we've been doing the penguin plunge, like Jeff had mentioned earlier, where we're jumping into freezing cold water. So have you ever done penguin plunge?
No.
No.
But I've been to go watch over at the.
You're the smart. You're the smart one. You're the smart one.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
And then Jeff, when does the torch run end and where?
Yeah, so it starts on Wednesday, June 5th. On Wednesday, June 5th, we're kind of on the eastern part of the state, starting up in Putnam one part, and in Old Lyme on the other leg. We have 2 legs that day. And both of those legs end at Foxwoods Casino, where we do a little rally. Foxwoods is one of a big supporter of Special Olympics Connecticut, so we host a little rally there, do lunch with all the officers who participated. Then on Thursday, we have 4 or 5 legs starting all across the state. We have one in Willimantic, one that Laurel's on starting in Plymouth, one down in Wolcott. Kind of all over the state on Thursday, and then they all end at West Hartford Center. So they all start different times of the day, at 6:30 in the morning, a couple of them start a little bit later. And then on Friday, we will end up on the kind of the western part of the state. Some start in the central part of the state, but we end at at Southern Connecticut State University right before the summer games. So we go right into the opening ceremonies, where we carry the torch right into open ceremonies to kick off the summer games for all our athletes.
And what are some goals, Jeff, you want everyone to take from this year's torch run?
Yeah, so we do have a pretty big fundraising goal this year. We're trying to raise over $600,000 for our athletes across the state. We came up a little bit short last year. We were right around $570,000. So we're counting on people like Laurel here to raise a few extra dollars for us. But most importantly, we're just here to make sure we're raising that awareness. That's the key word for us, is the awareness for our athletes, and just really trying to unify the community. This is a time where our officers can come together with their athletes and really show the importance of that unification, and just getting our athletes out there and making sure everyone realizes that they might have a disability, but everyone has good qualities, and those good qualities will come forward in these type of programs. So that's the most important thing to us, is making sure that everyone really becomes unified.
So Nick, tell us, when did you become, I see you have your Global Messenger shirt on.
So
Tell us a little bit about what it is.
I've been a global messenger for this is my second year, and being a global messenger, what you do is you go to events and talk about and promote Special Olympics, and I love it. And I love promoting Special Olympics.
You're pretty good at it.
I was
Is the best.
All right.
Yeah.
And it's been a really good experience and everything.
You get to meet officers like me,
Yes.
right?
And that program that Nick was just talking about, our Global Messenger, it's part of our athlete leadership program and our Healthy Athletes initiative. Yes. And these programs truly have started a few years ago, and this is because of all the fundraising we've done throughout the years, and we wouldn't have these programs, and Nick wouldn't have the opportunity to be hosting a show or being healthier in life because these programs are so important. So when you're donating and you're always wondering, oh, where's that money going? It's going to programs like Global Messengers, to Healthy Athlete initiatives, to our summer games, our winter games, our holiday sports. We have so many competitions, so many opportunities. Athletes can be playing sports all year round, participating in trainings like a Global Messenger, learning how to eat healthier, learning how important exercise is in life. And, none of these would be possible without people like Laurel, other members of the Simsbury Police Department, all of our officers across the state for the law enforcement torch run, and most importantly, donors like you all out there, and all of our sponsors. And, and I'm getting a little choked up inside just because that's the biggest thing is, we're changing lives, and mostly we're changing our own lives because of donors like you. And you'll have the same impact when you make that donation, and you get to walk away seeing these smiles on these athletes' faces, and especially if you ever can make it to a summer game or a winter game, which I would highly recommend.
Yeah. And that was kind of cool for me, like I had said about my cousin Holly. I grew up, she was a little bit older than me, but she always, I always remember growing up and swimming with her and really getting to see how much joy it brought her. And now I get the privilege of meeting more and more athletes.
Right.
Every event we have different Global Messengers helping. Every torch run kickoff, every conference I go to. I was lucky enough to go to Chicago this past year for the 50th celebration of Special Olympics. This past year, I think we're still kind of celebrating it, right? The 50th year, started in Chicago 50 years ago. So I got to meet athletes who were in the first World Games. One of them was here from Connecticut.
Cool.
It was, and just getting to see again,
see their faces.
Yes, and their medals that they won at the original games. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we actually had the pleasure of meeting an athlete from Connecticut who participated 50 years ago at Soldier Field in Chicago, and in the first games, and we got to see some grainy video clips of the games, and just to see where it's come from with a few hundred people in the stands to now filling the streets of Chicago with people watching the torch run and watching all our athletes participate, being all over ESPN now. I mean, ESPN has been huge with the coverage.
Did you watch any of the ESPN coverage?
Yes.
You're a big sports guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really
ESPN does a great job.
Yeah, it's truly inspiring to see their coverage for the summer games, the World Summer Games, the World Winter Games, where there's athletes all across the world.
We had someone from Simsbury on our team, on our swimming team, that competed in World Games.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
What year was that?
I think that was a couple of years ago.
A couple years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, without the torch run, we wouldn't have been able to send two athletes recently, a group of unified partners in bocce, to our World Games in Abu Dhabi. So, I mean, the opportunities are endless with support like from our officers here from Laurel and all across the state, and from supporters like you all who are watching now. I mean, it's really endless what we can do, and we just hope to continue to raise that money and raise that awareness.
Right.
So Nick, what's your favorite sport to participate in?
My favorite sport is, I would say, it's swimming and golf, and probably bowling. Bowling? Yes.
Nice. Where do you bowl here?
We bowl at Blue Fox.
Blue Fox. Okay.
Up in Simsbury.
Okay. Yep. And you do that as part of, is that a unified sport, or is that?
Special Olympics.
That's just Special Olympics. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Laurel, what do we have? Friday we have Tip-A-Cop at Chili's.
Yep.
What time will you guys be there?
So we're going to be there from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We're going to
Yes.
have Nick's going to be down there helping us. Jeff will be there.
I will be.
I think we'll have a couple other local athletes from the area who've told me they're committed to coming down to help. So 100% of the tips that we raise, the Simsbury Police Department, will go directly towards Special Olympics. Again, just to support all those programs. I've had the pleasure of this spring coming to a lot of your practices. I'm seeing where, again, all the money that we raise goes to support
Right.
you guys and doing, practicing throughout the year for all your sports. So.
And it's awesome.
It is. So hopefully you all can come out on Friday to
Yes.
support Laurel, and I just want to thank Laurel for all the fundraising she does. It's quite amazing to see where the department has come to become one of the top 10 departments in the state, raising money and supporting athletes like Nick and his other Simsbury teammates. So if you get the chance, come out to the summer games, cheer on Team Simsbury and all the other local athletes and athletes across the state. There'll be over 6,000 athletes participating in summer games. So we hope you guys can come out and support.
And I would like to thank everyone for taking the time to watch our program today. Special Olympics Connecticut is an organization that is very important to all three of us. If you would like to support the Simsbury Police Department, please, in their fundraising efforts, please feel free to reach out to Officer Harrington at the routine phone number 860-658-3100 or email her at email address on the screen. Thank you again and have a great day.
Thank you for having us, Nick.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you, Nick.
guys.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.